Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
I've always said the ultimate justice is positive change through public awareness, because for me, the pursuit of justice for the MK Ultra mind control abuses that I endured were stopped under national security from being able to obtain any justice or even to really have proper exposure of the experiences that I had so deep in the swamp in Washington, D.C. And it's good to see that in spite of all the censorship that's gone on, people have been sharing truth thanks to people like you, getting it out there, and awareness is raising, and people are waking up and facing the fact that mind control has been unleashed on humanity. And with that knowledge, we're able to reclaim our free thought, free will, and our soul expression to be able to take a stand and just say, no, no more.
Today on the Naturally Inspired podcast, we have Cathy O'Brien Phillips joining us. Cathy was born in 1957 in Muskegon, Michigan. She is a nationally and internationally recognized U.S. government whistleblower on the subject of MK Ultra mind control and healing from it. Knowledge is our defense against mind control, and Cathy's experience empowers her insight into far-reaching effects of mind control on society today and what we can do to reclaim, protect, and expand free thought. I hope you enjoy this episode of the Naturally Inspired podcast with Cathy O'Brien Phillips. Thank you so much, Cathy, for coming back on the Naturally Inspired podcast. A lot of time's gone by since the last time we talked, and I just felt the need to reach out to you again and connect because I saw your special with I think it was Sean Stone. You were on that, and a couple of other different things I've seen you pop up on lately. And I'm just thrilled that your story is getting more out there. Thrilled that you're spreading truth about I don't even know what to call this, the matrix. I mean, I'm starting to call it that because one by one panels dropping, it seems like by the day, our education is is clearly got corruption involved into it. It's not just, government politicians. It's our corporations, our airlines, like it's everywhere.
It is. Well, mind control masked as a virus has been unleashed on the whole global population for implementing what Adolf Hitler and George Bush termed the New World Order. That is a slave society agenda where a handful of corrupt people are make all the money and we do all the work. And this has been going into place ever since the World War II. Nazi Germany was the beginning of this agenda that is still being pushed because the war wasn't really won. It just moved over to the US. We imported all the Nazi and fascist scientists into the US with Project Paperclip. And all that information came with on mind control. And it has been compounded by technology. And as part of their 100-year plan to take over the minds of the masses of the population, they are fast forwarding right now and going as fast as they can to get it pushed through within their time frame and their plan. And while they're hurrying to do it, they're making a lot of mistakes. So, while it seems like they're gaining ground, they're actually losing it. And people are finally waking up and starting to see what's going on. And awareness is the first step towards positive, necessary change. Mm-hmm. Knowledge is our defense against mind control. And it's so good to see that knowledge getting out there and people arming themselves with the truth that they need to be able to reclaim their free thought and maintain their free thought going forward. It's an exciting time to get to be speaking out and be part of solutions.
I'm sure it is for you, especially to see kind of more and more justice unfold, because the justice is when we expose just one more person to truth and they come to know it and they can act accordingly.
Yes, beautifully said. I've always said the ultimate justice is positive change through public awareness, because for me, the pursuit of justice for the MK Ultra mind control abuses that I endured were stopped under national security from being able to obtain any justice or even to really have proper exposure of the experiences that I had so deep in the swamp in Washington, D.C. And it's good to see that in spite of all the censorship that's gone on, people have been sharing truth thanks to people like you, getting it out there, and awareness is raising, and people are waking up and facing the fact that mind control has been unleashed on humanity. And with that knowledge, we're able to reclaim our free thought, free will, and our soul expression to be able to take a stand and just say, no more imposed dark agenda, no more imposed control over us. It's inexcusable that we let a small handful of criminals, this dark energy force, this low vibration, to affect our brilliant minds and to impact our lives. We're by far the majority. All we got to do is realize it and say, no more.
No more. That's right. I think a lot of people will have to let go of justice as we know it. I know that I am a very justice-driven person, and it's been very difficult to let go of the justice system. I wanted to bring people to hold them accountable in front of courts, and every time some new truth gets brought up to the court, it gets shut down. So now I'm realizing through your wisdom, actually, you're one of the first people to tell me that if you can let go of justice after all the atrocities that happened to you, and you can let go of getting justice through the court system, then I have to do that too. Because it's not coming in that form.
It's not. And I was born in 1957 in Muskegon, Michigan. And so back in the early 60s, my father was granted immunity from prosecution for his incest, his pedophile behavior, his child pornography that he made of me. He was already granted immunity from prosecution under the guise of national security by a local politician, Gerald Ford. That same politician went on to become the unelected president of the United States. But it's very glaring from my life's experience, the justice system has been corrupted for a very, very long time through national security being invoked on it, and also through blackmail, because there's a lot of blackmail that's gone on to compromise judges and politicians and people in positions of power who may otherwise have stood up for justice. And through those blackmail tactics that have been used and are documented in my testimony, that too has really destroyed justice. Plus the fact that one of the primary abusers that I was exposed to in MK Ultra mind control on a White House Pentagon level was Attorney General of the US, Dick Thornburgh. And that shows again how far reaching this corruption has gone, with just a few well-placed individuals that have been stealing elections ever since the inception of electronic voting machines. This handful of criminals have been able to look like they're bigger than there are, or there's more of them than there are, when in fact, they just need the ones like in a position like Dick Thornburgh to invoke national security all the way down the court system and manipulate the law. So having seen law manipulated from the inside, and then in later years in my own daughter's case, and national security invoked on hers when the FBI testified against my trafficked daughter, who had been mind controlled to MK Ultra and trafficked across the borders. It's absolutely absurd, the extent of the injustice that I've seen. And yet I've always known, because of my life's experience, that justice comes in many forms. And the ultimate justice is positive change through public awareness. And it's happening. And somewhere in that process, as we start taking back our lives and restoring justice for the sake of our children, for the sake of protecting our children, then we have a form of justice that's much more powerful. It's one of common sense, parental love, and with strength of the human spirit and power of love.
And it's sustainable, right? Because one person can go to jail and okay, great, you got one person. But if the people still don't realize what's going on, it'll continue to happen, and you'll continue to have to put people in jail. But once people realize what's going on, then they won't allow it anymore. They'll simply not comply. They won't allow themselves to be exploited and extorted, and they'll be much more aware about their actions so they don't get put in that position.
Exactly. Mind control is a sliding scale from the kind of robotic, scientific, systematic MK Ultra mind control that I endured, to information control. And our information is being controlled in the school systems through global education and through controlled media. I think we're all onto the fact that the media is controlled in their narrative and what information they allow us. The censorship of truth has just been so blatant and glaring now that people are onto that part. But we also need to realize that the education system has been tainted for a long time. History was rewritten in the mid 80s for promoting this new world order slave society agenda. They knew that people would not accept that kind of a lifestyle. They knew that people wouldn't allow for the kind of criminal activity to go on that has been. They knew that their funding mechanisms of child and human trafficking, of the drugs across the borders, that's their primary funding mechanism. Yeah. And they knew that people wouldn't accept that kind of behavior. So they had to implement mind control. And mind control is their number one weapon system for ushering in their agenda. They ushered it into the school system on a global scale through global education in 1984. And it has perpetuated in the US under different names. Common Core is what it's called now. But what's interesting to note is that when they went all in with mind control masked as a virus with COVID, and they blatantly stole elections so that they could place their people in positions to bring about this slave society agenda.
Do you think it's getting harder for them to mask this stuff because we're in an information age? I mean,
yes.
they highly censor, obviously, and there's more and more pressure on technology to make sure that they are censoring, right? I mean, I'm not even allowed to post videos anymore on Facebook.
Right. Yeah.
I know you're off Facebook completely. I'm still on there, but I'm a very bad girl.
I have so many people masquerading as me that it was diluting my testimony, much like those free ebooks that are offered out there. It's pirated copies with altered information. And we need truth. Yeah. We need truth back in our education system because our children's knowledge base has been altered. What excites me so much is that these perpetrators overplayed their hand with mind control masked as a virus. And it was one thing to mask us all up and create the identity issues with that, because it inhibits people's ability to see if someone's smiling or if they're sneering. It stops people from being able to speak and talk with each other. It inhibits oxygen to the brain necessary for free thought. That is horrific in itself. But then they had us shelter at home so that we wouldn't talk with each other. They were so scared we would talk because they knew that truth was going to get out there in spite of their control over the media and in spite of their control over the narrative. They knew that we could talk with each other. So then they told us 6 feet apart or 6 feet under, do or die. You don't talk. They had us shelter at home. And when we sheltered at home, it broke people's patterns. It broke their routines. And when that happens, it causes the brain to fire in new ways. And it opens neuron pathways in the brain. Mind control shuts those neuron pathways down. And by breaking that routine, it opens them back up. So it started having an opposite effect of what was intended by having people shelter at home. They thought, they'll shelter at home and watch TV with all the violence being called peaceful protests and watch their businesses burn to the ground while they shelter at home. Well, people were onto that. They shut off TV. They shut off controlled media. They shut off that news, and they talked with their children. When they talked with their children, they found out that the pedophile agenda was being promoted in the school system.
Oh, you're right.
It was under gender confusion, which is a byproduct of sexual abuse of a child prior to age 5 while their brain's still forming. The pedophile agenda is to promote pedophilia, to sanction it in the court systems, and to condition the children to accept it from an early age on, so that it creates what Adolf Hitler and the Himmler research found. The multi-generational effects of that abuse create a more compliant society. Those who won't think for themselves, those who will only comply with new world orders and march to those new world orders exactly like they're supposed to do. Well, all that was going on in the school systems, and the parents found out that history had been rewritten. Children weren't taught the kind of values towards freedom, and they didn't even understand mathematics to know the economic ramifications of socialism and communism. Instead, they were conditioned to accept this New World Order agenda. And parents found out, and they were livid. They were so mad.
Yes, and we're still seeing that today. Yep.
They're now in the US, the parents are rising up and they're saying no more mind control in the school system, no more promotion of this gender identity issue and immoral concepts of judgmental attitudes that are only divisive and hateful. No more of the rewriting of history. We want truth back in education. They know that knowledge is our defense against mind control, and we need to have knowledge. We need to have truth. We need to have the facts in order to stop history from repeating itself. And so they're rising up. They rose up so strong that in the US now, the justice system has determined that parents are terrorists for standing up for their children.
Yes.
And
It's
so
laughable.
absurd. It hasn't stopped them.
Yeah. No, it hasn't. It's only made them more and more determined, which is really great to see. I want to back up a little bit because last time we didn't go into great detail about your congressional hearing way back in 1977. And you talked about just recently, MK Ultra and how this kind of impacts us on a mass group. Because I think people think about it as an individual thing. And I want people to understand how that can happen to the masses, how this kind of mind control is happening to the masses. But first, I want to start with how you got to that point where you got to testify in Congress, because I know they were really trying to suppress all that information, but they just couldn't anymore. Right?
It wasn't me in 1977. In 1977, I was under absolute robotic control and being thrust into the White House Pentagon level. So that was not my part. Mark Phillips, my hero who rescued my daughter and I direct out of the swamp, the intelligence insider who was working in mind sciences and saw that this corrupt.
Was there a congressional hearing in 1977?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there was. And Mark Phillips was very much aware of that aspect of things and contributing information to those particular hearings, which ultimately were just shut down and swept under the rug as though nothing had happened. And okay, we'll fix that. And then it's only worse and worse and worse.
Did they deny the program altogether back then? Or because
there was some admission of it, and there was a lot of information that came out on MK Ultra as a result of that. And Mark was very much in mind sciences in order to preserve the sanctity of free thought and help people to vigilantly protect it. And he was so outraged to see that the truth on mind-brain function was being suppressed from the education system, from mental health, who really needed that information, so that it could be secretly used on and by the U.S. military, and so that mind control could be used ultimately on the whole population. Because the point of MK Ultra mind control is the mind control of humanity. This small handful of criminals, this dark force, they fear the strength of the human spirit most of all. They fear the power of love. And because they fear that, their only way to overcome it is to be able to suppress expression of it through mind control and by traumatization of a nation. In the United States, when the Kennedy assassination occurred, that traumatized the whole nation. And it's when these perpetrators, when this dark energy force took strong control in the US, and they covered up the Kennedy assassination, and they brought in voting machines that became electronic, and they went into the electronic voting machines, which were rigged since their inception. But elections were rigged from that point going forward. This was before
Kennedy's assassination was such a pivotal point.
It was. And it woke a lot of people up. And people like Mark Phillips, who were aware of what was going on, was watching this criminal faction creeping into all aspects of society to mind control the masses. It came in through like Operation Mockingbird, which was a control of the media. And at the time of the Kennedy assassination, for example, Jack Valenti was head of the Motion Picture Association of America. He was also the liaison to the media for the Warren Commission, which was run by Gerald Ford, who thrust me into MK Ultra and became unelected president because as a reward for his cover-up of the Kennedy assassination. And when Ford went in to the office of president, he appointed Jack Valenti as his press secretary to make sure that we maintain that control over the media. Mark Phillips saw all that happening. And so he was very much a part of those hearings and often spoke of it when Mark and I would speak out on MK Ultra mind control of those hearings in 1977 that you were referring to.
Yeah.
So even though I wasn't any part of it, Mark certainly
was before. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what's ironic is that so many people hang on to the Democratic Party because of President Kennedy. They associate the Democratic Party with President Kennedy, like it's their party, and they show such loyalty to the Kennedys, right? And what they've lost is that party is the very reason Kennedy's not here.
Exactly. And it's amazing to me too to see people still clinging to the illusion of Republican.
Yes.
The fact is the New World Order, this slave society agenda has no regard for the political parties whatsoever. That's in my testimony, Transformation of America. Now, that was my 1995 testimony for Congress, and it too was censored under national security. So Mark and I released it to all members of Congress in 1995 in book form. And since national security was invoked on it, it still doesn't stop the truth from coming out and the reality of the magnitude of the takeover that's gone on. But in Transformation of America, I talk about the rigged elections. Since I was right among these perpetrators in the Washington, D.C. swamp, I knew that they had no concern whatsoever for elections. They didn't care about campaigning or anything else because they knew that contrived polls through the controlled media and rigged elections would assure their position of being appointed back into position for ushering in the New World Order. Anyone cooperating with that New World Order agenda was placed in a position of power through these rigged elections. And in my testimony, I knew that it was structured to keep it within the Bush-Clinton dynasties and to usher in the New World Order. And George Bush said, when people become disillusioned with Republicans leading them into the New World Order, that Bill Clinton as a Democrat would be put into place to do it. And the intent was to keep it in the Bush-Clinton dynasties until Hillary was supposed to go in 2016 and bring in the New World Order.
Didn't happen.
It didn't happen quite that way. And so now they're frantically rushing to make up for lost time for those years that Trump was in. And still, I'm still exercising my voice to the extreme, saying it's not about Democrats and Republicans. We need to pay attention to who is behind this slave society agenda. Ultimately, it comes down to who is for mind control of the human population and who is for free thought. And ultimately, when you look beyond that, like I said, without free thought, there's no free will. And without free will, there's no soul expression. Without soul expression, we don't have the strength of spirit to stand up for the things that we believe in and live the love that we are and embrace life's purpose and live in peace and joy as life is intended to be. So now we are seeing where free thought or mind control is a battle for soul, just like was in the Biden campaign during this election that was blatantly stolen in 2020. It was that battle for the soul of the nation. And that's so true. It's a battle for the soul of all of humanity. And that brings it into a whole different realm of good and evil, light and dark, love and hate, and freedom or control. And it's all we need to do is just realize our own strength of the human spirit again, reclaim our free thought, our free will, live the love we are, reach out to each other in compassion, and start making the difference that we want to see in our world by being that difference and living that love. This handful of criminals has no business meddling with our brilliant minds anymore.
No, I've seen people comment recently out in social media and stuff that it could be that some people don't want freedom. And it had never occurred to me that some people do not want freedom. How do you feel about that statement?
They probably don't know what it is to begin with. It may be someone who's been abused and has only known heightened suggestibility and control their whole life. They may not know what freedom is. Freedom is not something that a government gives us. It's something that we're inherently born with, that's disrupted through horrific abuse of a child, especially prior to age 5 while their brain's still forming. So ultimately, I think that is part of what they are striving for with the pedophile agenda and creating a more compliant society who don't even know what freedom is. Because after 3 generations, it becomes autogenic to be more compliant. Right. And that's what they're going for. We can stop it. It's still in time to stop it. But it's up to those of us who are awake and aware to stand strong and keep waking up others and showing them that the joy of freedom is, I tell you, since I have reclaimed my free thought, free will, and my freedom all the way around, I celebrate every day that I'm free to live the love I am and live in harmony with life's purpose and the beauty of the miracles that unfold when we live that purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk a little bit about the media, and I recently came across a news story that I found really interesting, and I thought maybe you could speak on it a little bit. Was the fact that a whistleblower had come out and said from behind the scenes and just stated point blank, CNN is controlled by the CIA, and that there's a CIA person there all the time. CIA folks are around CNN all the time. This isn't the first time we've heard this. We heard another whistleblower that came out in 2012 said the same thing. How do we get people to understand that concept? It's so foreign to some people.
It is. It's gotten to a point now where I can almost see who watches CNN because they're the only people wearing masks yet. They're the only ones still caving in because the mind control that's used through the media not only controls knowledge base, but they use NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. It's the language of the subconscious. They show traumatic images. They show these death toll numbers or whatever they want to do to scare people that they contrive and make up just like they do any other polls that they show. And then while people are in a fearful state, they use NLP to manipulate their minds further. So we need to understand that knowledge is our defense against NLP the same way it is against mind control. This is something that should be taught in the school systems, but instead it's been omitted so that control can carry on. The only thing we can do at this point with people, you can't tell someone under mind control that they're under mind control. Right. If someone had told me I was under mind control back when I wouldn't have had any clue what they were even saying. So you can't tell somebody that. You have to show them little by little. And the best way that we can show them is by reclaiming our own freedom and living it. And soon they're catching on. I see people now, even the hardcore CNN watchers, looking at everyone else not wearing masks and feeling kind of, weird wearing it now. So, it's just by living the truth ourselves, we're starting to show it. As for the CIA being involved, oh my goodness, yes, that has been openly known for a long, long time, that not just CNN, but all of media. And we definitely need to take that over to social media as well and realize the infiltration of control that is over all of the media, really. So we need to look past what we're being told and research further. Pick up a book again, go the old fashioned way, pick up a pen, make some notes on things, because that helps us process information differently. Writing with a pen needs to get back in the school system too, because it helps us to shift information over to logic, because it takes logic to move a pen. Shift it over to logic so that we can critically analyze it, ask questions, think further, look further, research further. We need to do that with everything that we're being told these days. And whether it's through the media or the education system or anything else, let's pick up that pen and start using our critical analysis again. It's a very important aspect. And
I think
get
that's
the
such
CIA out of our media.
Yes. I think that's such a good point, because I try to tell people right now is to hold on to what is real. Like hold on to what is real. So like getting even simple things like putting a pen in your hand and writing the words in front of your face, because the greatest lie I think that's been pulled off in so many different areas is that it's not real. It doesn't exist. So they try to act like mind control doesn't exist. They try to act like there is no evil. There is no devil. There is no, you know what I'm saying? That's the greatest lie they've been able to pull off is, oh, don't worry about that. It's not true. This doesn't exist.
Yeah, what people don't know is hurting them, and they need to definitely realize that. And it's because it's an invisible menace, and until you're armed with the knowledge, it's hard to recognize it around us. But it's imperative that this information gets out there, and it's also why it's been suppressed for so long, and it's why Mark Phillips was just so livid to see information, such pertinent information on mind control being censored from the media, censored from the education system, because secret knowledge equals power. And these perpetrators who want to exert their power over us have been suppressing the information for a long time. So we just need to persist in bringing that truth to light. I've certainly persisted. I've persisted for over 30 years.
Yes, you have.
National security has been invoked on my testimony, and I've still found a way to say what needs to be said. Any censorship that's imposed can be overcome. We can always outthink those criminal minds. Mark taught me long ago that wisdom outthinks a criminal mind every time. Those criminal minds are very linear in their and flat in their thinking, whereas wisdom, because of our soul expression, because of our strength of spirit, because of love and the clarity of thinking that we get with all that, we have height and depth, and we have all these other levels to our thinking that creates wisdom. And that's what outthinks a criminal mind. And as we reclaim that wisdom and start living it and exuding it, we win, they lose. And more and more of us every day are reclaiming it. We've already won. The bad guys just don't know it yet, but we need to show more and more so that we can, with compassion and with awareness, reach out and help others wake up too.
Yeah. Which is becoming, so difficult, because it feels like the programming has gotten so deep now with the rollout of the child vaccine. And we're seeing parents that are, expressing themselves with, oh, I'm so grateful that this is happening. And, and they're lining their kids up right away. And for those of us that are awake, it's horrifying. It's horrifying because we know where that's going. Over 18,000 injuries recorded in VAERS alone. But there's no mention of that. It's all one-sided. And that right there should be an indication that there's brainwashing going on, because every medication comes with a consequence, whether you want to realize that or not, whether you're taking an aspirin or you're getting a vaccine, it comes with a consequence. There's a side effect to everything, right? Everything. So to act like there's absolutely no side effects when we know that right there should be an indication, is it not, that that's brainwashing?
It should be. And I'm so thrilled to see so many people in the US waking up to that reality, and they're protecting their children. They're fiercely protecting their children. The school system is collapsing right now because parents are just pulling the kids out. It's like, no, you're not going to do that. Yep. In many states, including the one that I'm in, the laws, the state laws in place will not allow for any federal overreach and mandate to demand that the children be vaccinated. Parents have the say over what is done to their children. And it's good for me to see that aspect happening. It just needs to happen more and more and more, because even if one caves into it, that's sad. And we need to just keep raising awareness and staying steadfast on it. And be happy to see those who are waking up and know that those numbers are increasing at such an extremely rapid rate.
Oh my gosh.
It's also beautiful for me to see how many people are talking about our innate immune systems and what we've been born with, because I know from my life's experience how resilient not only our bodies and our minds are, but how resilient our spirit is, how resilient we are on every level. My health, after all I've been through, is extremely good because I am so aware of the amazing abilities that we have within our own bodies. It's something that people are going to be able to focus on again when we get big pharma out of our lives and stop them from this mass mind control that they've been perpetuating on humanity. It's interesting in the United States how big pharma every fall, they always would say, oh, are you sniffling and feeling really bad? Do you have a cold? Do you have the flu? Are you this? And here's the drug that you can take to fix that, or go get this flu vaccine, and they were pushing all that. They're not pushing any of that right now because controlled media is pushing everything for them through mind control masked as a virus, and they can't be competing with any possible real virus out there. So they gotta just cut all those ads out. And so there are no recorded numbers on flu cases, no recorded numbers on the common cold. Where did all that go? Where did pneumonia go? All that's gone. It's been renamed as COVID because they need that for their narrative and to create whatever numbers they want. When we start pulling back away from what we're told and looking at a bigger picture, we'll realize that while this so-called pandemic has gone on where all these people died from it, you look at the annual national death rates and they've not risen at all. They've just simply been renamed. We don't have heart attacks anymore. We don't have pneumonia. We don't have cold. It's just all been renamed. So big pharma is playing a game with our minds and with our information. And when we realize that, we can start questioning and looking further. And in that process, realize the beauty and the magnitude of our own body's ability, our own immunities that we have been born with, and revert back to those amazing strengths that we have and start living those again. Take good care of ourselves. Eat food that's not been tainted by big pharma. Or by
and how the earth provides us so many of those solutions. The earth provides us so many of those solutions. I mean, recently I just learned about a great example of that. I mean, petrochemicals, the invention of petrochemicals exploded the pharmaceutical industry and completely diminished anything that was natural because they needed to be able to patent it to that is pharmaceuticals is what holds our whole healthcare system up in terms of financial, gain. They give to the universities, they give to hospital systems. That's how they're making their money, is through all their products. So they are like the medical mafia when it comes to anything natural that they can't make money off of. And recently I just posted about star anise. Star anise is a powerful, antiviral, and that is exactly what they use to make Tamiflu. But people don't realize that the earth has given us what we need. They have taken it, corrupted it, turned it into some synthesized version to patent it and make money off it. It's time for us to realize we have everything we need.
It is. And it's such, again, they're squishing the strength of the human spirit. And it's also a definite form of intentional mind control. When Mark rescued my daughter and me out of the swamp and handed me the keys to my own mind so that I could heal from within and reclaim my free thought, he also helped me to reclaim my health with good nutrition and natural foods. And one of the first things he did was tell me to stop ingesting so much aspartame, because I was on a strictly controlled diet, because it robs the brain of nutrients needed for free thought. So I was fed copious quantities of aspartame. I had a hard time getting off that artificial sweetener. That was really difficult.
That's addictive.
Because it was being deliberately used to reduce my ability to critically analyze and think free. They knew that way back then. And that's advanced so much with what they're doing to our food supply. We need to pay attention, read the labels, know what we're putting in our bodies. This healing method is very crucial too for reclaiming free thought and our strength of spirit. Mark taught me that in the healing methods that he taught me that are in PTSD Time to Heal. I've written out all those methods that Mark taught me that I used for healing and reclaiming self-control, inner peace, and my health and maintain my health. I've never worn a mask, by the way. I've never caved into that. I've never caved into the fear, and I'm fine. I'm just not going to play that game. I recognize mind control. I know the amazing abilities that our bodies have. And I shared that information in PTSD Time to Heal and posted it on my website at trance-formation.com. That's trance-formation.com. I posted it with a pay what you can, if you can option. So everybody can have it now, regardless of income. We've all been hurt hard with income. And it's important. I posted it when COVID hit because I knew mind control masked as a virus would take its toll on people, and they would need to reclaim their free thought. So it's available right there. And I encourage everybody, no matter what level of information control or mind control or trauma, whatever anyone has endured, it applies to our mind brain function on all levels, so that everyone everywhere can reclaim that the amazing abilities that we were born with and the life's purpose that we were intended to live.
Yes. I couldn't agree more. I want to reach more people. Some of these videos, have you seen some of these videos out there where there's people, like famous people like Nancy Pelosi? There's one of her where she's talking, and the person she's talking to, I think it's a news pundit, asks her a question about something, and she just snaps and starts saying something like Sunday morning, good morning, it's Sunday. Like it seems as though there's been a trigger. Are trigger words real when it comes to mind control? Trigger words are real. There's also technology that can be affecting anyone. I think anyone would be somewhat susceptible, but knowledge is our defense against mind control. And people who are imposing mind control on the population know exactly what they're doing. And therefore they're not subject to it, because again, knowledge is our defense against it. So I can't give Nancy Pelosi a ticket out of what she is doing. It could be that, she's got a definite apparent alcohol problem that influences her erratic behavior.
I do think we need to consider the technological aspects of mind control too, and that everyone is vulnerable unless they are armed with the knowledge and the defense against it. That includes politicians. I hear from people all the time who are saying, well, my governor was standing up for the rights of the people, all this time, and then suddenly went with the mandates. Why did they do that overnight? And who knows? They could be compromised in any number of ways. It could be blackmail. It could be some level of mind control. It could be technological. Whatever it is, it's one more reason why we all need to maintain our critical analysis, free thought, and not give these people the power that they assume that they have.
Right.
But they only have as much power and influence as we let them steal.
And that's what small business owners need to realize right now, because what we're seeing in our area here in Colorado is that small business is taking money from the government. They're taking money from their counties so that they'll, because they've lost money being closed. So now they've taken the government's money, but in exchange for taking the government's money, you have to implement the government's mandates. So we're seeing businesses voluntarily implement things like vaccine passport, masks, all these ridiculous rules because they're beholden now.
Money is another form of control, and it's definite component of mind control that I think a lot of people don't pay much attention to. I've never had money or access to money. All the money that I was around, I never had that in my MK Ultra mind control experience. Mm-hmm. And people are controlled by money. When Mark Phillips rescued me, he saved my life. And they did a satanic reversal on him and took his life savings. That was over $3 million back then. That was his life savings for saving a life. They thought they could control him by that. They couldn't. That money did not matter to him. He said that he didn't have to have that money to be able to survive, to expose their criminal activity anymore. We need more people with integrity to stand up and realize that money is not what we think it is, because we're being controlled by that. We're being controlled by it right now for the
the more money you take, the bigger the prison you're building for yourself.
Exactly. And the fact that people were mind controlled enough to shelter at home and cave into fear, because fear is the ultimate control. Yeah. And when people sheltered at home and watched their businesses turn to dust and ash, they lost their livelihoods. And that gave more control over the people, because now there was also financial control over them. Mm-hmm. Then the government started saying, well, we'll give you $600, and they always do sixes because it's like their satanic haha inside joke. But we'll give you $600 if you don't go to work, and then let the livelihoods turn to ash all the more. People were bought off, and with little or no money. As soon as the government had control over all their finances, they had control over them that way too. And that is what the slave society agenda entails. Yep. So people who cave into that money thing are only caving into control and giving up their own freedom along with everyone else's. As far as those businesses go, it's been a loud and clear call in the area where I live, because if anybody caves into that, nobody shops at those businesses. Nobody gives them business anymore. Right. And the businesses have the constant bombardment of repetitive programming going over the intercom system saying, mask up, get your vaccine, social distance, No, people are saying, no more. If you're going to be playing that and blasting that in my head all the time, I'm not coming in anymore. So that's great. The people are standing up, and the people are putting their money into the businesses that support free thought, that support the freedom to be able to live our own lives without the government dictating exactly how it should be done. So it's just up to the people and a mass movement of the people to gather their free thought and their own integrity and stand up against the tyranny that is being forced on us.
That's such a good point that you bring up with the loudspeaker over the shoppings. A lot of grocery stores have it playing, and it's on a cue. It's like every 10 minutes or so, you hear that bing, bing, and it comes up with the same message. It's interesting because a long time ago, my sister had traveled to Cuba. This is, 15, 17 years ago or so. And she liked it there. It was really cool. She said it was very cool. One thing that was really weird about the trip that she mentioned that stood out to me is that she said everywhere you went, there was loudspeakers with these political messages being pumped into all the stores and stuff. And that for some reason stuck in my mind when, from 17 years ago. Yeah. And now when I'm in the grocery store, I can't stand it because I know exactly what they're doing. Nobody needs to be told every 10 minutes to put a mask on and to get your vaccine.
That's right. Again, knowledge is our defense against it, because when you realize it, you can shut it off. But that's a lot of brain energy to have to shut it off every 10 minutes, So it's easier to go into a business that supports free thought.
Yes.
And then to continue getting information out there, because just like your sister telling you that so long ago, look how that has protected you now. So as we keep getting truth out there, even though if someone doesn't wake up right at that moment, it's seeds of truth planted. And eventually it's going to take root, and eventually it's going to blossom. So every time that we get the truth out there, it makes a difference. So we just keep standing by it and find a way to say what needs to be said.
Yeah.
So amazing difference you're making with just repeating that. And saying what you heard.
Yeah. I mean, it's totally about awareness. It's about awareness.
Yes.
This morning when I woke up, though, I saw a new cartoon out. And I know that you've talked about cartoons in your books and how they can really make an impact, and they use them. It's kind of like the term vaccine that they're wrapping this shot into. They're calling it a vaccine because we all recognize vaccine, the word vaccine, even though this isn't even a vaccine. This is a gene therapy. This is not a vaccine. They wrap it in that label to make you feel safe and secure. And you've had those before. And, but now when I woke up this morning, I was so annoyed to see that they're now using Big Bird and Rosita from Sesame Street, to push their shots on our kids.
Yes, there were generations conditioned to that. When you think about it, look how many generations were raised with Sesame Street. And Senator Byrd always claimed that the Big Bird character was all about him and everything, because he had a very strong influence on Sesame Street through the National Endowment for the Arts. And the purpose of it was to manipulate the minds of the children. So they were using a form of mind control in Sesame Street that I knew about way back when, because of Senator Byrd running his mouth and bragging on it and talking about how they were going to continue funding it until it became until every child was being raised with Sesame Street. So I had that aspect of it. And then it doesn't mean that all aspects of it were bad, or that Jim Henson had any bad intention. Because by everything I know, Jim Henson did not have bad intention. It was taken over and imposed on him through the CIA. Just like any other
probably
media.
funded by government funding. I mean, this is their pattern. Yes, this is their pattern.
The National Endowment for Humanities, and for the arts, which Senator Byrd, since as head of appropriations, decided where that money was going to go. And so those were the conditions for getting that particular funding.
Right.
And then the harmonics were being used, the flashing was being used, conditioning towards the New World Order. They were trying to usher in NAFTA. So we had an extreme Spanish influence. And not that children shouldn't learn Spanish, but it was brought in very, very deliberately for those purposes. So it's no surprise that they're falling back on all those children who were hypnotically conditioned and so-called educated with Sesame Street. It's no surprise at all. We need to pay attention to what our children are exposed to. And we need to understand what is going into our minds, how it can influence, whether it's the music we're listening to, if it's the entertainment that we're exposing ourselves to, if it's a video game that, because those are especially used for conditioning and mind control purposes, or whether it's the news that we choose. We've got to start thinking further and understand how our mind-brain function. Again, PTSD Time to Heal lays it out, the mind-brain function, so that we can safeguard that going forward and safeguard our children and stop them from being manipulated through things like that's sad that that they're using
Yes.
whatever they can. Our children are the ones who are targeted. It's part of the pedophile mind control agenda for this new world order.
Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on Elon Musk recently. They kind of attacked him. The UN's World Food Program tweeted out that Elon Musk could solve the world's hunger with $6 billion. And I found it interesting because he replied with an article about the UN agency workers, that the UN agency workers are among the prime sexual predators exploiting refugee children. Yay! And this is Elon Musk. Right? This is gets a lot of attention. And he's saying, oh, yeah, you're going to call me out. Okay, cool. Yeah. But what about this, UN?
That's wonderful. I'm so glad he did that because yes, the United Nations is the New World Order agenda, and the human trafficking and drug ops are their funding mechanism. They have all the money in the world. They could stop world hunger. Look at this $1 trillion package that was just pushed through by these perpetrators who stole elections 2020 in order to usher in their slave society agenda. Look at this. How much world hunger could they solve with that money? It's not up to Elon Musk to do that. It's not his job to do that. But how cool that he called them out. And
that wouldn't have happened. That wouldn't have happened, 3-4 years ago. That would not have happened. I don't think it would have. But now with things like, Epstein's list, for example, right? Like, how long do they think they can hide? Because we now see this cute little relationship between Michelle Obama and George Bush. They're friendly as all get out. They were supposed to be opposing teams, right? Like you get, yes, people need to wake up.
Yeah, really.
It's
people
just,
need to wake up to that, to that fact. No, another one that gets me too is like the fact that Elon Musk told that truth, and I get excited about it. Then someone will say, well, did you know that Elon Musk did, or they'll go into something else. And it's like, that's not the point. Right. The point is this truth right here was told. This truth is what you need to pay attention to, not be diverted over here by something you disagree with. I mean, people are so easily.
Well, and how many times has that been pointed out that this, there's sex slavery, human trafficking. This is all happening. This many children are disappearing. This agency is using this to do that. How many times how can you keep dismissing it when it keeps coming up over and over and over again?
Yeah, it can't be dismissed anymore. People are onto it. They're waking up to it. I'm so glad that he made that point. And it's going to be so nice when we take back control of our lives, when we get our personal sovereignty back, so we can take our national sovereignty back and take a stand for the things that do matter and stop world hunger. We could have stopped world hunger 100
million times over. Yes.
But instead, we ended up lining the pockets of the people that are perpetuating mind control in the slave society agenda, and big pharma, and paying off so they can pay off controlled media, and and buy off small businesses that want to cave in. I mean, it's just, no, we need to take back control of our lives so that we can stand for the things that we believe in and put our money in the directions that it belongs.
And that
stop the steal of our money. Stop the steal of our minds. Stop the steal of our elections. They only have as much power and money as we let them steal. It's time for us to say no more and just
exactly.
Stop
and the beautiful thing about it is it's actually very simple. It's not easy, but it's simple, right? Because it's just no.
Mark always said, truth is simple, lies are complicated. While we're bombarded with all these complicated lies that just, and the truth is so simple, and it's so pure, and it's so basic, and it's so innate, and it's within us all. Yeah. It's within us all to heal and reclaim it, know our own truth, live that truth, and just start living love, and open our eyes back up to compassion. feed the hungry ourselves when we see
one
it.
at a time.
Just right in our own backyards, we can start making a difference. Stop the human trafficking that's happening there, because it's everywhere. It's not just underground in some underground base hidden out of sight somewhere.
Right.
It's not just at the border. It's everywhere. It's hidden in plain sight. And until we become aware, it goes unseen. Once we become aware, we start seeing it. And it's at that point that it's up to us to take personal responsibility and start making the difference and being the difference in the world that's needed.
Personal responsibility. I talk about that all the time, because imagine if every single person took personal responsibility. Imagine what that looks like.
I know. I do imagine that because under mind control, I was not responsible for what I was tortured to do and the agenda of those people that I was forced to carry out their bidding for. But once I reclaim my free thought, I'm responsible for all of my actions going forward. And it's like, it's such an exciting thing to get to be responsible for my own life, for my own actions, for my own thoughts, for the things that I choose to stand up for. That personal responsibility is a beautiful thing. And it comes with free thought. It's a celebration in itself. And it's something that I celebrate every day that I'm free. Yes. And I think the more we celebrate it and we wake up every day, I've been waking up feeling just trying to practice gratitude for another day, gratitude for, just being able to stay away from tyranny. We are so, blessed in this, in the situation that we're in right now. We're able to, my daughter was able to dance this weekend free. Those are things that I used to take for granted and not think about. But for some reason, she was able to go this weekend. She didn't have to wear a mask. There was nothing. It was like, it was normal. And I just sat in gratitude for a few minutes about it, because I'm just so grateful that somehow my children are navigating through this world virtually unaffected, because I feel like God's just making a way for them because they deserve it. Yes, it's the strength of the human spirit. It's the way life is intended. Mind control gets in the way of that. And it's why we need to arm ourselves with knowledge on mind control so that we can have a defense against it and live this beautiful aspect of life and celebrate it in gratitude. I am grateful every day. I live in a constant state of gratitude. I celebrate my health. I celebrate my freedom. I celebrate the love that I get to live, the difference that I get to make. I celebrate the miracles that I can see all around me. I celebrate my higher view above the storm. It gives me clarity of vision to see that people are waking up on such a grand scale that it's evolutionary in spirit where we're going from here. It can't be stopped. We're winning. We already won. And we just need to let this handful of dark force know that we're not going to play their game anymore and that we've already won. They're done. It's over. And we're just grateful for every day. And we're free to gloat about it. It's like a domino effect when you start hanging on to feelings of gratitude. Yes, right? It is. It's a domino effect. And each time I get a new email about somebody realizing something or thanking me for the information I put out, or each time I have the opportunity to talk to someone like you, I'm so grateful, because this is a ripple effect that will then go out and we can affect other people through this medium. And I'm so grateful for that. And if you focus on the things that you're grateful for, even though we haven't missed or reached maximum capacity yet, not everybody knows that it's time to wake up. Not everybody sees it quite yet. But if we hang on to those people one at a time, then it will create more of the ripple effect. It is happening. And I do celebrate opportunities like this to bring truth to light with you. I'm so glad we get to do this again, because you're amazing. I love your light. I love your love light. I love your brilliance, your truth, You're so intelligent in the way that you present truth. And I know a lot of people benefit from that. I am grateful for that. It's just more people awake. And it's one more opportunity to overcome censorship.
Yes.
In light of truth.
Yeah. This
because
morning
we
I
always win that way.
was listening to a pretty high profile science guy on his podcast, and it just made me kind of laugh because it's been almost a year since I started. And you've been talking about this stuff for 30 years. But it's been over a year since I've been talking about things like cults and brainwashing and all of this stuff that's taking place. And this mainstream, high profile guy said today, I think we have to start looking at this whole COVID-19 pandemic as cult behavior.
That's
and
good.
I was like, whoa, did he just say what? I think he's coming around, because at this point now, there's no denying that if you are pushing forward with the agenda the global agenda, and you're hanging on to what they're telling you to do, you're not basing that off of any data at all. You are basing that off of what you're being told. And so
parroting it.
Is that the definition of a cult? What is the definition of a cult to you?
It's mind control. It's manipulation of a belief system using mind control. And fear is usually the basis of that. And it certainly applies to COVID, that it is cult-like in that regard, because it's brainwashing. It's mind control, whatever kind of mind manipulation term that we want to put on it. The fact is that it is manipulating minds using fear. And to me, that is the definition of a cult, and, a cult or occult, fine line right there, because they're both using fear as control. And this is a very dark, occultic kind of agenda that's being pushed on us all through. This,
when you were experiencing what you went through, were you open to looking at other points of view? Did anyone try to talk to you about maybe this is what you might be experiencing? Did anybody tell you you're being brainwashed? Did anybody tell you those kinds of things? And when we're talking to people who won't look at data, I don't know what else to say. They just keep parroting the same lines like, well, you wear a seatbelt, don't you? You wear a seatbelt. That's my favorite. I'm like, yeah, no, you can take a seatbelt off. I don't know. That's coming directly from CNN. That is coming directly from CNN. But I had someone who was in charge of a whole hospital system's contagious, epidemiology unit. Tell me the seatbelt analogy.
I've heard that one too. I wondered where it came from.
I should have
known. But I would never have known to consider other perspectives or other angles under mind control, because my mind control was absolute. I had no free thought, no capacity to think free or to consider other perspectives, other angles. I could only do exactly what I was told to do, say the words that I'd been programmed with, parrot those words, just like I was told. If anybody got close to me at all, I had been programmed with just an open pat answer of praise the Lord, which, not to slam any religion or anything, but that made everybody just walk away. They didn't pay attention anymore to what I was going to say, because they figured that was just where my head was at. It wasn't. I was not in a cult, and as much cult and occult as I was exposed to, the systematic, strategic, scientific formula used in MK Ultra mind control was absolutely robotic.
Yeah.
Having healed from that.
Robotic. That's an interesting word, because I feel like that's what I'm hearing in a lot of speeches.
Yes. When I healed, after I wrote out all my memory of what had happened to me, then I had to learn to think for myself. And that was its own challenge. That too is in PTSD Time to Heal, just because it was such a difficult thing to be able to think further, consider other perspectives, consider other angles, expand my thought. That took brain exercise. And brain exercises are really important. When I see someone parroting the same thing, whether it's for Black Lives Matter or, on the pedophile agenda, or wear your mask, or
I'm doing this for you.
You wear a seatbelt.
This is for you, not me.
Yeah. As soon as they're parroting the same thing, you'll notice everybody does say the same things over and over again, because that's their program and they can only parrot it. So when we learn to listen to what they're saying, I'm mind controlled. I'm brainwashed. They're telling us that that's where they're at. It doesn't mean that we give in to them. It's that we meet them with more of a compassionate understanding, instead of getting in their face and screaming and fighting, which they're conditioned to respond to with more parroting. Right. We just gently keep reasserting truth and keep living that truth. And maybe even, like where masks are concerned, no one has ever shamed me. Nobody has ever said anything to me in any way for not wearing a mask. I've never worn one.
Yeah.
In fact, people are happy to see me smile.
Yes.
And that smile alone, just smiling at people, especially the children, the ones with the fearful eyes behind the mask, just smiling at them and reassuring them that you can breathe free and you can still smile and you can still live life, is sometimes the best thing to be. The best way we can help others be free is to be free ourselves. Yeah. And just be the example.
Modeling, right? It's all about modeling. Be the change you want to see. It sounds cliche, but I mean, it's the most powerful thing. Yeah.
Be the freedom, live it. Yeah. And exude it and show the joy of being it. Children are very, very telepathic and attuned to the attitudes and vibration and intent and everything else. So when we put it out there with genuine joy and with love, with compassion, with understanding, and we exude that helps to plant seeds of freedom in them. And when we keep standing by the truth, if we say something about the repetitious, constant bombardment in the grocery store, then other people will start noticing it too. And we just keep doing it. It's the most that we can do, and encourage people to shut off their TV, to do research for themselves, to think for themselves, do their own fact checking, pick up a pen.
Yes.
And write.
I love that.
And, one thing that Mark taught me in my healing process that helped exercise my brain was to voice no negatives without a solution. And that forced me to have to think in terms of a solution. Right. It forced me to have to think out of that dark space that I was in, or that narrow space that I was in. It helped me to think beyond it. It forced my brain to fire in new directions to think of that solution. So even now, I'll vent. If things just seem so harsh, I'll vent. I'll write a poem. Right. And always with a solution, because then it forces the brain out of that negativity, that whatever that is at that moment, whatever the trauma of the moment is, and helps us to think beyond it and reclaim our free thinking that way. So,
was there something that Mark did when you first met? Was there something that was, connected his light to yours that you were able to cling to under that state?
In terms of the solutions?
In terms of because you said, nobody could have told you anything to bring you out, or if they told you were under brainwashing, it wouldn't have helped. So what was he doing that? Was he modeling behavior that made you like, oh, maybe I can trust this guy?
Oh, this is such a beautiful question. Well, actually, Mark got me out of my situation because I was turning 30 and I was being transferred to where I was going to be eliminated. I was going to be killed and I was going to be put to death for what I knew. It happens
Right.
often to MK Ultra mind control slaves of the level that I worked. It usually happens at age 30.
Okay.
And so he intercepted. And
Wow.
I couldn't think to trust Mark. I didn't know anything to be able to even think to trust him.
So you just went
But
along with him.
his animals trusted him.
Oh.
He had all these pets. He had raccoons and fox and dogs, and he just had so many different pets, and they all loved him and clung to him. And in my life's experience, people who abuse children or people who abuse other people abuse animals too. They have no regard for life at all.
Yeah.
And so seeing these animals be able to trust Mark was like a telepathic vibrational communication to me that I could trust him too. It's like how
Interesting.
by smiling at that child with the mask in the fearful eyes, by smiling and exuding the genuine happiness and joy and the freedom that we can have being healthy, they pick up on that. I was picking up on that from the animals. And even though I couldn't think to trust at that time, it did help me learn to trust. And another aspect of that I think is very important is that my brain compartmentalized memory of the abuse and actually shut down those neuron pathways and began compartmentalizing memory.
Mm-hmm.
When I was still an infant, my father was sexually abusing me from infancy. And even though I couldn't think to judge that in any way or
Right.
to know what he was doing was wrong, my brain knew it. My brain knew that I was experiencing the pain and suffocation, and it shut down the neuron pathways around that abuse so the rest of the mind could function normally.
Right.
That's professionally defined as the mind's sane defense to trauma too horrible to comprehend.
Mm.
Well, this by the same way, my brain brains respond with or without us. And we need to know this about our
Right.
amazing mind-brain
Right.
function. And so when I saw that the animals could trust Mark, even though I couldn't think to trust Mark,
Yeah.
my brain also knew that I was safe. My brain responded to my safety by starting to open up those neuron pathways. And then the repressed memory, the traumatic events that I'd experienced started leaking and flashing in my mind screen, like flashing behind my eyes. Memory would intrude of something that I had experienced. And that's when Mark taught me that the pen is mightier than the sword and to just make note of those flashes. So I made note of those flashes from there. So I had the two things, amazing things going on.
That is
Learning to trust because of animals, and also because my brain was actually responding to the safety that Mark provided and the love that he provided, and began opening up. So
that's amazing. And I
it
love that.
is.
I love that story about the animals too, because I think that the nature around us can be our connector. Because can we all agree, that our trees are beautiful? If this is what we have to agree on, can we just do that? If we can't agree on anything else, can we agree that our trees are beautiful, that our animals are amazing, that there's the dirt in the soil grows our food beautifully? Can we start focusing on those things as a means to get somewhere where we can agree on love and light?
I think you're so right. That's so beautiful. And it's such an important part of healing. I still do it. I still spend a lot of time in nature, a lot of time with my pets. The unconditional love of pets is so healing for people who've been traumatized. It's great for our military vets. It's great for people who have been trafficked. Animals, in their purity and their unconditional love, really can help show the way. Walking them in nature, they get us out in nature where we breathe in the air, we see the beauty of nature around us, we get sunlight in our eyes. That's so good for us. It's so healthy and healing, and an important part to bring back into our lives. And treasuring the earth for the healthy foods that it gives us when we don't contaminate it with the chemicals. We can, it's good. It's so good to get back in touch with all of that. And that all comes with free thought and reclaiming our soul expression and our life's purpose.
Absolutely. And the other part of what you were saying with the trusting your brain to do the work and protect you from this and then show you this. And it was your innate capability to do that. We're being conditioned that doesn't exist, that we need science to explain every single thing that happens. And you can't explain to me why we're here, but you get up every day. And you continue to, you're trying to scientifically, science has become a religion, and you're trying to explain to me how every single thing is supposed to go in my life, but you really cannot still tell me what I'm doing here or how I got here.
Mark always said that miracles are unexplained science. And at the same time, he said, when miracles become common in your life, you're doing something right. You're on the right path, because when you're in that flow and in that harmony, things are so miraculous and it's so beautiful, and science can't explain it. Right. And it is undefined by science, because that's not the area. Science is like that linear, flat thinking, when we have all this height and depth and wisdom that we need to weave into the equation and to allow for those beautiful influences. When we see through eyes of love, we gain that kind of insight and those kind of realizations, and realize the beauty and the magnitude of the resiliency of our brains, our minds, our bodies, our spirit, our hearts, our love. It's all there. We just need to reclaim it and realize that it's our birthright. It's born into us. It's already there. It's already a gift to us. And I am grateful for that gift.
Yeah, it's not doled out by government. It's not doled out by government.
That's right.
And because somebody else has freedom doesn't mean that you now get yours taken away. It's not, it's not this little bucket
of work that way.
No, it doesn't. Thank you, Cathy, for being with me again today. This was such a wonderful conversation, and I really think we're going to touch some hearts with it today. Where do people connect with you? I know your books, but where's the best place to get to you on transformation?
Yes, on my website, trance-formation.com. That's the best way to reach me. And do
you have any events coming up? New events? Are you going to be in any new movies? Or because you have a great documentary, you've been involved in lots of documentaries and things like that.
Yeah, it's things like that are posted on my website. There's so many things happening and unfolding right now, and I'm really excited about. I got to speak at a public event in a We the People reunion in Kentucky. And I'm sure I'm going to be doing more of that, getting out and meeting people. It's so nice to be eye to eye, heart to heart, soul to soul, talking with people one-on-one. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm looking forward to getting back out there and doing more of that too. And all that will be on my website.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being on the Naturally Inspired podcast today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
If the Naturally Inspired movement makes sense to you, let's do this together and transform the medical model and help people take charge of their health. Learn more about how you can join the Naturally Inspired movement by going to naturallyinspiredadvocate.com or call me at 970-475-4862. Find amazing interviews with people like David Icke, Max Egan, frontline doctors, and more at naturallyinspiredpodcast.com. Connect with me directly at tammycuthbertgarcia.com. Support our amazing team. Help us defeat censorship and become a subscriber for only $5 a month at livenaturallyinspired.com. Find me on all social media platforms at Connect with